Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at sci-fi and horror TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm Courtney.
And I'm MK.
And how are you doing?
Well, on Saturday, I had like the longest day of my life.
Really?
But like not in a bad way, just like in a long. So we had rehearsal for the understudies for the kiddos musical at 9 a.m. And that went from 9 to 11. And then from 11:30 to 1:30, I had a production meeting for the musical with a bunch of the parents, like trying to make sure we had everything taken care of for the set. And then at 2, I went and saw Legally Blonde at one of the local high schools.
Oh, how fun. How was it? I've never seen the play musical.
This was what I was telling my friend on Saturday after I saw it. I always forget how much I like the show because I've only ever seen mediocre productions of it. But like, it's a really good show.
I've heard that.
And I saw a high school, so like obviously it was a high school.
Right.
But I will say, like, vocally it wasn't my favorite thing I've ever seen, but the kids were in it. Like the acting was pretty good for high school kids. And the choreography, which granted I'm friends with the choreographer, but like the choreography was phenomenal. So good. And she like really made them work. And it was great. And then I went from there to a friend's house and by friend I mean like I babysat her kids, and then she babysat me when I was a kid, and then I babysat her kids, and she's like a little younger than my parents, but like and because she had birthday presents for me.
Aww.
They're like Lennox crystal Beauty and the Beast ornaments. They're beautiful.
You have to send me some.
I will. And then I went out for beer flights and dinner with Brittany. And we drank too much and stayed out too long, and it was great.
Been there.
Yeah, I love it.
Go.
Yeah, so it was like a super long day, but like none of it was miserable.
Right.
So,
well, 75% of my Saturday was miserable, but it's because I stayed out late too late and drank too much on Friday because I was just gonna have drinks with Dom until like midnight-ish, and then I was like, check your train schedule because he lives in Long Island, and he was like, the next train's not till 1:45, and I was like, okay, so we're gonna keep drinking. So then we went out, and then he was going to catch his train at the same time as Owen was getting off work, and Owen was like, I'm going next door, let's go to Donahue's and drink. And I was like, okay, sounds good. We went over there and like hung out, and then he was like, okay, now we're going to the playwright. I was like, I'm going home. It is after 2 a.m. I have had too many drinks now, and I did not eat dinner because I was trying to rush the recording to get to the show, and then didn't eat because I was just thrilled that I made it to the show and just needed a drink. And then it was 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I had only alcohol. So then I was sick all day Saturday.
which is fair.
Until I went to work and chugged some ginger ale and bitters and chugged some Coke after that, and then had some Balbins for dinner. But the one exciting thing about Saturday, my parents, who tell me they love me dearly but never want to listen to our podcast, started Bates Motel. And because they finally finished Grimm, so they needed a new show to watch together. And so they started it, and I was talking to my mom. All my days are the same. It was either today or yesterday. I don't know. And she was like, yeah, I think we really like it. It's going to be a good show. I was like, great. Now you can watch my podcast. And I was like, are y'all watching it like along with my podcast? She's like, we watched like 6 episodes. I was like, well, now you can't tell me anything that happened.
No. Please do not.
Absolutely cannot tell me anything. I was like, well, at this point, we are 4 episodes in. I was like, you can't tell me anything. She's like, but we have to keep watching it because that's how it goes. And I was like, all right, well, maybe you could listen to a podcast soon. She's like, okay. She has not listened still, but hopefully she will. She says she will. So if you do, hi, Mom.
Whenever you get around to this, hello.
Yes. Whenever that. She did tell me if I sent her the link to it, she would listen because she doesn't know how to find it on her own, even though I've sent her the link at least 20 times. And I sent it to them both today, and my dad told me he wasn't listening because I hadn't listened to the song he sent me yesterday yet. So, but I did listen to the song, so now he has to listen to the episode. That's how it works.
Good.
But yeah, so speaking of this episode, we are talking about Bates Motel, Season 1, Episode 3. And it is called What's Wrong with Norman, which is very aptly titled. It was rated 8.1 out of 10, which is the highest so far of our 3 episodes in.
Well, I can see why.
I also can see why. Very well done. The air date was April 1st, 2013. I would have liked to have seen if there was any April Fool's jokes regarding it, and I did not because I just remembered the second that it aired on April 1st, 2013. Unfortunately, the number 1 song is still Harlem Shake.
Oh, God. Why did anyone listen to the song?
No, I don't even know how it made it to number 1, and it's been there for 3 weeks so far. And that's just from where we started. It could have been before then. I don't know when it started. But the number 1 movie is one of my first kind of introductions to more modern horror movies. And made me think that I wasn't going to have a panic attack watching horror. And this was the remake of Evil Dead. And I think it's fair. Have you seen this movie? Any of them? There's 2 of them. So the first one was with Bruce Campbell.
I know the Bruce Campbell ones.
And so I watched that when they announced that they were remaking it because Carrie, who I lived with in college, loved the Bruce Campbell ones. And so she was like, we have to watch Evil Dead so we can go to the midnight premiere of the remake. And so we did that. And I would have been absolutely terrified of the remake had I not watched the original, and it was like all clay people. It looked like Play-Doh. So I was not scared whenever I watched the second one. But it was good. I haven't watched it since, but I can see why I got to number 1. People were thrilled it was back, and Bruce Campbell had a hand in, I think, production. He did something. I think it was production. So
I love Bruce Campbell.
Me too. I've been watching him on what's that show I've been watching?
Burn Notice.
That's the one. Thank you. And on this day, the world's first smelling TV screen was unveiled in Japan. # Smell-O-Vision. And do you know this was, what year are we in? 9 years ago, and we still don't have TVs we can smell? Granted, my TV, I think, came out before 2013, but...
What? Why would I want that?
Well, you see like those cartoons and stuff, and like, I mean, you have the beast.
No, because what I would do with a smelling TV is exclusively watch the Food Network and then get pissed off that I couldn't have any of the food that smelled so good.
That's very fair. That is fair.
That's all I would do with it.
Really good interactive experience, though, because I love what is it? Oh my gosh, I can't remember any. Feel Her Magic. It's one of my faves. So I think it's fun. It obviously has not gone very far, except for parks, I guess. I don't know.
Right, but also like there's a lot of things that are on TV that I would not want to smell.
That is also very true.
Like not a single scene in this show, but I want to smell.
No, I don't think I would either.
No.
So the director of this episode is a new one, He is Paul A. Edwards, and it kept everywhere I read it kept saying also known as Paul Edwards, and I'm like, okay, you just took a letter out, like it's fine, but it was like very particular about it. He's known for Man on Fire, Lost,
Oh,
Heroes, and Sleepy Hollow.
wait, what was the third one?
Heroes,
Heroes. Oh, okay.
which I haven't seen, but has raving reviews.
I love
Um,
Heroes.
I know him from, he's only done a few episodes of. He did one episode of Cloak and Dagger, which I think is a phenomenal show. It has wonderful special effects. It's also set in the South, which is fun. He did 3 episodes of Gotham, which is probably my favorite superhero show. Maybe
Okay, only because of Ben McKenzie.
I do love Ben McKenzie, but it's very dark, and I love it. This is his only episode of Bates Motel, so this is the only time we're talking about him. So I'm talking about him a lot. He has done 3 episodes of Once Upon a Time, which is excellent. He
did the real question is, did he direct
early
seasons? Oh, okay. Because
yeah.
I would say, because like last 2 seasons doesn't count.
No, they were early episodes. To tie us back to Brian Fuller, he did 1 episode of Pushing Daisies. Oh. And last but certainly not least, he did 3 episodes of Fringe, and he was also a producer.
I love Fringe.
Oh, I know. That was just for you. Our writers are mostly the same. We have Carlton Cruz, Carrie Aaron, and Anthony Cipriano. Robert Block's credited, and Bill Bayless is staff writer. But we do have one new writer, Jeff Wadlow, who is known for the new film Truth or Dare, the Bluth Productions one that I still haven't seen that I've been wanting to see. He was really highly regarded for his screenwriting in Kick-Ass 2. He wrote on 2 episodes of Bates Motel, and fun fact, he is the nephew of Katie Couric.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So, what's wrong with Norman? Spoiler alert, a lot of
everything.
So we start with the beginning of this episode. Norman is frantically hiding things under his bed, which is the new
Norman. Okay, it was like previously on. And then it showed him putting the stuff under his bed when, like, from the episode before. But I didn't see the serial killer belt the first time. Definitely missed that the first time. Don't know when.
I don't think it was in the last episode. I think they accidentally ran that through the previously before because of how they connected everything. I don't think it actually was previously.
Well, no, because it was when, wasn't it when he was clicking the flashlight? Wasn't that when Emma came to the house?
No, because that was when he was hiding the book.
Oh, but nobody was at the door.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was like previously, and it was him clicking, and then there was doorbell, so it had to have been previously because nobody was at the door. But I don't remember it.
I also don't remember it, obviously. So,
okay,
that is a thing that occurred. Sometimes I call Danny Max because I forgot his name in the beginning of this episode.
Okay, well, his name is not Danny or Max; it's Dylan.
Dylan. So sometimes I call him, sometimes I call him Max, but his name is Dylan.
Yep.
Are you sure it's Dylan?
Yep, I'm 100% sure it's Dylan.
So I struggled through my naming of this episode, but I love him dearly.
Yes.
So it starts off with a kind of funny scene with him trying to figure out how to be intimidating. He has his gun.
I wrote, Dylan has clearly never actually had a gun before. He straight up lied when he said he's held a gun before because he had.
That is exactly what I said. I was like, okay, Dylan, you are not fooling anyone.
Which we find out later is untrue. He has like handled a firearm, but probably not a handgun.
Right. It seems more like a hunting rifle or something.
Yeah.
Like handgun, but that's fine. And then he walks in to Norman just says, good morning, Mr. and Mrs. Bates. And I was like, okay, that's really funny, but also it's unfortunate that it's true. Like, okay. And this is where we learn Max actually has a job, which we saw he was trying to get into last episode. Although we have not learned yet what it is, we will.
Yes.
Next, we go to the school, and Emma is a mess. We learn she has not gotten over this pot field. She has not been sleeping. She is convinced these people are going to come find her and kill her, which I do not understand because the whole
Okay.
town is going on.
No, but she was seemed much less worried about the men from the Potfield killing her and much more worried about the fact that seeing the shed made her believe that the Asian chick being dead was real.
Very upset about that. Um, so she's got a lot going on. And this is one of the first times we see Norman break, not with family, I guess, because he broke. I mean, obviously, he had his whole thing with Dylan.
Yeah,
Um,
but
he just like has a conniption fit.
I was like, yo, Norman, calm down.
And we see his face change, which is very well done. I'm starting. This is the episode where I started feeling more Norman Bates underlying young Norman. Um,
Yeah,
and
no, I think I have a note later in oh yeah, I have a note later where there was the scene that was the first time that I believed it was Norman Bates.
yeah, yeah. I started seeing it now, and then we moved to his class, and he is supposed to be taking a test, and instead he is having this like really dark thought about his teacher being tied up and tortured, and
I,
that's not great.
I wrote, what the hell, Norman? But also, we all knew the English teacher was going to be a problem.
I mean, how could she not be? Um, we did know that from the beginning, but like he just went real hardcore. Like it was like he was almost having a seizure because he just
Yeah, but
like,
he was like, it was the images from the journal, but with her in them.
and he was like seeing the journal instead of seeing his test. Like he was just seeing this book everywhere, and it's just disturbing to say the least.
Yep.
Um, so because he then immediately passes out while she's trying to like wake him out of his stupor, he's rushed to the hospital.
Yep.
And our next scene is Norma being concerned about Norman, saying he's never passed out like this before. Which
I think she's lying.
I think she's lying too,
Yeah.
because she's clearly said that there are things that he does these things before. Like later on, she says this. So like, I think this is not maybe not the first time, maybe just the first time that he's been hospitalized for it.
Yeah,
Um,
no. But the way she was like, no, of course he hasn't. He never like no. And I was like, are you lying? I think you're lying.
yeah, I think she's lying. Um, so then we pop over to Dylan, and he is in the truck with the shady strip club guy.
Yep.
Uh, they drive out to the middle of the woods and camouflage the truck, and I was like, this is gonna go well. Um, and he starts talking about Deliverance being filmed here, and he uses the line where he says, "Boy, you got a pretty mouth," which is from Deliverance. I have not seen Deliverance. I have heard that line. But I did look it up, and Deliverance was not filmed here. It is not filmed where it is set, and it is not filmed where they filmed. So that was just a throwaway line, I guess. I don't
No,
know.
I think it was probably like just in general about like the atmosphere.
It probably was. And when I was reading reviews, everyone, like Max Terrio's character, they were like, he was kind of useless. We don't really care that he was there. And then they're like, except that one line about Deliverance. And I was like, what? I was like, that's the only thing you like about him? I don't know. The critique world out there, I disagree with today a lot. Um, and we learned that his new job is watching the weed fields. He gets paid $300 a day to just sit, hang out, and drink beer and watch.
Okay. Now here's the thing. They said that that pot field had $5 million worth of weed in it. And I was like, fuck me.
Also, if it's $5 million worth of weed, we could probably afford to pay me more than $300 a day. Not that $300 a day is not good.
I
That's more
mean,
than good,
right.
but
I would take $300 a day to do nothing.
I
That's
absolutely would.
absolutely.
But if I do it long enough, I want to make more. I want to cut.
Well,
Like I'm
maybe.
basically
I mean, he's entry level.
exactly at this point he's entry level,
No.
but also sometimes when you get further on, you get burned alive. So maybe
Right.
my $300. Um, and then oh gosh, something happened that was very cliche.
Oh, Bradley came to visit Norman in the hospital.
No, before the hospital scene.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know what it was because I put at this point, I'm wondering. Okay. I remember.
Okay.
So we talked about our predictions last week, and we both predicted he was going to be working with the Potfields and do vigilante stuff. We predicted Norman was going to do some really weird stuff, like off the wall stuff. And we had like one more prediction that I don't remember if it came true or not.
I predicted that Norma was going to kill everybody.
Yeah. And I was like, at this point, I don't know if it's cliche writing or if I just know what to expect from Norman Bates writing. Not obviously not Bates writing, but I was like, because nothing overall surprised me so far. And we're still early in the episode.
I would say
Everything I expected to happen was happening.
Everything I expected to happen was happening, and yet this episode still fucked me up. So
Gets a little wild moving forward. So then we go to the hospital, and Norma is terrified. And Norman is not. Norman is very carefree. He's just like, why are you scared? There's no reason for this. And Norma is just losing her mind. And then she has to go sign for the carpet because Dylan got a job and can't do it because he's going to provide for the family because everyone else sucks. And
yep.
And when she tells him that, like his face is just very innocent. He's like that innocent child again. And it's just a little off-putting in a correct way. Like,
yeah.
Well done, but it was a little off-putting. And then I put, Bradley shows up.
Yeah, I wrote, why is Bradley visiting him? She is so confusing to me. I do not understand.
And her character, I want to believe it's not the actress that makes it this way because these lines she has are so weird. They they're like, she's this hippie girl that's kind of like the way she says them, not the way she is, but the way she says them when she talked about the lake and all this stuff in the last one. And now she's like, you're brave, Norman Bates. And it's like, who says that? And this popular girl, she's saying that. Her lines are just very strange. And I'm not sure if it's the way she's saying them or what.
No, I think it's the lines. I don't like them.
The lines. I just don't like her.
I did like one line in the scene a lot, though, and it wasn't not one of her lines. It was one of his lines, though, because they're talking about how her dad's going to die, and they're, like, bonding over dead dads, and he just says, death is awkward. I was like...
He does. I liked one of his lines while he's casually talking about his dad's death, and he just says, everyone's happier in old movies, and it is so true, because if you think about the original Psycho, everyone's happier until they die. But it's like a peppier pace. You don't have the same darkness that you do. And
I do believe that everyone's happier in old movies, and even like old sad movies are not like the same kind of sad. But
right.
No, death is awkward. That is my favorite thing ever.
And then I just put he's gonna mess everything up with Emma. And I'm gonna be mad about it. He's a stupid teenage boy.
Correct.
They all are. So next we go home to the Bates Motel home, and the police are coming in to search their home.
Because they did, in fact, get that warrant.
Yes, they did. And Norma goes back to the hospital, and I put she's going to be pissed because I thought Bradley was still there, but she was gone. So Norma was just stressed. And she decides that Norman is leaving right then. And the doctor says, I think we should keep him overnight. And she just starts taking his like IVs off of him and stuff. And I was like, I don't think you're allowed to do that. Um,
No, you're not. I wrote Norma is a freak.
Accurate. She's like super freaking out about this warrant thing, even though she's convinced they didn't find anything because she doesn't think there's anything left. She's wrong.
Mm.
Uh, at first, I didn't really notice it was a belt at first that he was putting under his bed. I
Oh,
thought,
I did. I
yeah,
thought
'cause,
it was straight up a serial killer belt.
see, I was writing notes when it came on, and so I didn't see exactly what it was, and I was like, oh, he must have been hiding more books. Like maybe they were
Oh,
his.
no. Oh,
Um,
I know why Norma was a freak. This whole conversation between Norma and Norman about like the police being there and like the way they were interacting with each other, I was like, neither one of them is mentally stable.
no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah, and then we go back home, and he immediately runs up to his bedroom. And when he realizes that there's nothing under his bed, he falls to the floor and just repeatedly says, "What's wrong with me?" And I just said a lot of things.
See, in this moment, I was still unaware that the belt was not his.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not figure out why he was so upset. Like, I obviously, like, the belt had like duct tape and a flashlight and stuff, and it felt kind of creepy and serial killery, but he was like losing his mind. And I was like, so you got a tool belt? I don't get
Right.
it.
Because I didn't notice it was the belt at first, I thought that they had taken torture books, and that's what they had taken. And I thought he had recreated some of the torture diary.
That would have been even worse. Yeah.
Right, right. And so that's what I was thinking at first. And then in this moment, his eyes get that blank look as he's saying, like, what's wrong with me? And I was like, I get it. I get it now. He's not well.
No.
And then Norma's baking. Because what else do you do when the world is ending? Apparently you bake. And this is
if COVID taught us nothing, that's what everyone does when the world is ending, is they start to bake.
I guess that's true. I guess that's true. And this is when we learned that the belt he kept was Keith's belt, which was the least smart thing he could have done.
By far, like by a mile.
And so Norma's like, first, like, why would you want to keep that? And I was like, yeah, Norman, why would you want to keep that? And she's like, well, the police haven't said anything, so maybe they didn't find it, but I don't know, like, what it is. And I'm like, they don't immediately report when they find something. It's not like, we found this, now you're arrested. It's like, we found this, we're going to talk about it, think it over, and then we're going to come tell you you're arrested. Like,
yeah,
that's not a thing that's like super immediate. So she just doesn't know. So I was not seeing that going well. And so then we go back to the pot farm, and we learn that Bradley's dad was involved in the pot field, and that is the reason he was burned alive. And that's also, these are the people that also seem to have burned alive the man in the middle of the city. And I just put, I'm really upset about this eye for an eye stuff.
I am as well, but surprisingly, the thing that upset me the most about the scene had nothing to do with violence.
Yeah.
Dylan asks his friend / coworker if they can smoke any of the pot.
Right.
And the guy says, not on the job, which fair. And then says, do you want a beer? And I was like, I'm sorry, you can drink on the job, but you can't smoke on the job? I have questions.
Okay, so that was my first issue.
Okay.
Second issue is that they see something in the bushes. They're like, oh, we have to make sure they pull out their guns. Everything's fine. They realize it's a pheasant. And he's like, have you ever gone pheasant hunting? I'm like, you have been there 30 seconds and you're abandoning your post. You're literally getting paid to sit there and make sure nothing happens. And now you're leaving. Like, you have no other job. And that was my biggest problem.
Yes.
So,
I really like that we're watching a show that makes me care less about men being burned alive than about drinking on the job.
yes, we are. We are in a weird place right now, and it is just how it is. Just how it is.
Yeah.
So we go back to the home, the Bates home, and sweet Emma shows up, and he really doesn't want to let her in. And I just put poor Emma. She is really getting caught up in the Bates life, and it's really gonna mess her up. And
I know.
such a bummer. She only has a little bit of life left. It's such a shame it's gonna not go well.
It's so sad.
So this is also when we find out that apparently Keith was super sketchy, aside from what we already know about him, because we go into room number 4, and there's Chinese writing on the bottom of the sink where theoretically the pictures from the book were that people were tied up.
Now, we can't confirm that it was Keith who...
But that is where we're starting.
Yeah. No, but Emma has some weird things with Keith, does not care for him. Obviously, Norman also does not care for him. So that's a good starting place, but there's about 0 evidence that Keith is involved in this.
Yes, but there's 100% evidence that he's a bad person.
Well, yeah.
Regardless.
And I guess, I mean, like, we knew it was real. Like, I didn't think Emma thinking it was real was fake, but the Chinese symbol on the sink, I was kind of like, oh, shit. Okay.
Cool. Yep, here we are in it now. So then Norma is with how you so lovingly have called him, Officer Hottie. And she's playing the poor Norma card, she's very smart. She's very good at being manipulative.
I almost admire how hard she's playing this guy.
I agree. I thought that too. Because at this point, he's going to tell her everything at their dinner date. And I said he's going to destroy evidence. Like,
yeah.
He's known this woman for like half a second. And he is destroying evidence for her. I mean, not that this town has a whole lot of morals, but still, at least the town knows each other. He doesn't really know her.
Right. I mean, what a man to be.
Right. And so we get back home and we learn that Norman is not very pleased about Norma's dinner with Shelby. And he says he's going to keep manipulating her. And she's like, shut up. This is how it has to be. And then goes over to Shelby's. And she's put her face on all nice. And he asked her what she wanted to drink. And she said, oh, I'm good with anything. And he's like, how's a Jack and Coke? And I was like, yes, very sophisticated. That is what you offer at your house.
Not to be nitpicky. That's literally my note says, not to be nitpicky. But there's a 0% chance he poured any Coke in that cup.
No,
they showed him at the bar opening what may have been whiskey and putting ice in glasses and then never opening another like beverage. There's a 0% chance there was Coke in that Jack and Coke.
He mixes his Jack and Coke in his fancy whiskey container.
You can't pre-mix Jack and Coke. The Coke will go flat.
I know. So I agree. It was just whiskey. It was a
really dark whiskey.
Yeah. And at this point I said he's kind of creepy too. And
I didn't get creepy yet. I did not get creepy yet.
That is not how I felt. I started to get creepy.
I just thought he was smarter than he looked. Like the things he was saying to her, I was like, okay, so he has the belt and he is smarter than he looks.
I thought he was less smart than he looked. Because at this part, I was like, she is going to just continue to manipulate him. Even though he's kind of creepy, she's going to get whatever she wants and then she's going to kill him. That is what my notes say.
See, and I see how you thought that, but I was like, no, like he knows that she did it and he is going to use her. He's smarter than he looks and he's playing dumb because he knows. Like I bought into immediately that he was going to play the good dumb farm boy kind of thing to use her.
Is how I feel now. But I also, at this point, I thought he thought it was still Norman for a second. And
Okay, I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, no, I immediately thought, okay, this guy's not as dumb, but I can totally see that side of it.
yeah, because I mean, he obviously knows that they've done something, but I
Yeah.
thought at this point he still thought it was Norman. And
Okay.
he, no, you spent your whole life taking care of everyone. I'm going to take care of you. I was like, hold up. You have known her for very few days.
Oh, that felt like the most narcissistic, manipulative thing I've ever heard. And I was like, this man knows exactly what he's doing.
I was like, this is not good.
Oh,
This is
no, 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 no. But here's the thing, neither of them are good people.
no, exactly. So it's like, who do you hate more? And it's like, I guess it depends on how the outcome happens. Wait and see.
Um,
I
but
mean, currently I'm picking one over the other where I'm at.
in
But
that moment though, and this is why I have problems with shows like this, is because I know that he is not a good person.
right.
But then he looked at her and he said, "You are so beautiful. It makes my heart hurt." And I literally was like, I would give literally anything to have a man say that to me.
When he did that, I looked at him and I just went, ugh.
I was swooning. I was like, okay.
No, I was immediately put off. I was like, this is,
Nope. I was like, I would also hide evidence for you after a week.
yes, I would not. There are very few people I would ever hide evidence for, if any. We'll go on record saying I would not hide any evidence from anyone, but
Apparently, all it takes for me is telling me I'm so beautiful makes your heart hurt.
good to know for the future. I'll keep that in mind in case something happens. um, so we go back to the pot field, and they have killed a pheasant for dinner. We learn that Dylan was living in South Dakota, which is not anywhere anyone else in his family has lived. And he said he doesn't talk to his dad anymore.
Yeah, we found out his dad is not dead, question mark.
They never explicitly said he was dead in the beginning. We just discussed it.
Yeah. We just assumed that he was because he said he had nowhere to go. But like,
Right.
how fucked up is your dad that Norma is a better choice?
Right. I'm a little upset about this for him. I really don't know how he's as put together of a person he is if his dad is worse than Norma.
Yeah.
So he's always gonna be my favorite, it seems. And we go home, back to the Bates home, and Dylan and Norman are there, and Dylan wants so hard to protect and take care of Norman. So hard. He's really trying his best. And then
And I said in that scene, it actually felt like Norman wanted to be normal for a second.
I know I felt so bad for him because like we learned that Norma's home hours late. I assumed she killed Shelby. Obviously I was wrong, but I thought she might have.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm sorry you tried to kill me the other night. That's what Dylan says. And Norman is like, ha ha ha. Okay. He's like, what'd he say? I just like came behind you or something. And he's like, you took a meat cleaver to my head. And he's like, well, I'm sorry that you think I tried to kill you. I was like, you
I was
don't.
like, does he actually genuinely know? I at this point, I could not figure it out. I was like, does he actually not remember trying to kill Dylan?
Well, then my aunt asked me, she was like, is this like a real thing where they can dissociate? I was like, yeah, there's dissociative identity disorder, which is terrifying and fascinating. And I was like,
I have trauma.
and I was like, this is a thing people can have, and she was like, but can they kill people and not know? And I was like, yes. I was like, while it's not ideal, it is a thing that can occur.
Correct.
She was like, oh, and I was like, yep. So that's where we are. This is the beginning of us seeing Norman doing things that he doesn't remember doing.
Okay. The other thing though is this whole conversation and like how everything is happening with Norman right now. I wrote, this episode has me solidly thinking Norma isn't the fucked up one, and that has me fucked up.
I also thought that, especially towards the end of this episode.
I am so baffled at the sympathy I feel for her.
Because I'm like, what if Norman killed his dad and Norma was like waiting because she knew what happened and she just didn't want to deal with it yet.
Well, yeah, because he's doing shit he doesn't remember. Also, like, what if all of these men in her life really have just been abusive and Norman is literally just psycho and she's the victim? Like,
She's the victim the whole time.
I cannot deal with how the show makes me feel.
I know. It's excellent. Ugh, kills me.
I am fucked up.
I had the same concern watching it. So then Norma comes home and she is talking to Norman about Shelby trying not to. And she tells him, she's like, I feel fairly safe with him. And I was like, that is not as safe as I would like to feel with someone who holds my life in their hands. Fairly safe is not very high, but I guess it's better than nothing. And then I said maybe Norman kills him because I'm just convinced he's going to die.
Yeah.
So I just trying to pick who's going to kill him. But also, like, he's not wrong about being concerned about Shelby's intentions. Like,
yes, except for the way he did it. Like, he did not, if he was like, listen, you are bamboozling and sleeping with a cop because you're afraid that he is going to, like, turn you over because of a murder that you committed, that is a concern.
right.
It came off like I don't like that you're sleeping with a man.
Right. Yes, accurate. And the thing is, like, we know Dylan has the same concerns, but Norman is the only one who says anything and he cannot say it correctly.
No. But and Norma even calls him out on it. She's like, you're just not used to this. He's like, I'm not. She's like, you're jealous. And he's like, you're my mother, not my girlfriend. And she was like, I didn't say that.
Yes. So then we go back to the school and he's talking to Bradley and Emma pulls him away. And she says she looked at the symbol and she went to did she say she went to the Reddit boards or something? She went to
some kind of
forum.
Oh, no, she went to Yahoo Answers.
Yahoo Answers, which is where everyone goes for all of their information. And she said it means beautiful in Chinese, which is heartbreaking.
Yes.
And Norman, again, goes off his rocker and said, he's going to be dead, you're going to be sick, and I'm still going to be who I am. And it's like, hold up. As of now, you are just a child who's been through a bad life and had a bit of a meltdown in class, but you are much darker than that and you know it. And you're not supposed to tell people things like that. But here we are. So that was another moment that I was just like, you feel like Norman Bates. Like, this was one that I felt. So I'm on the Freddie Highmore train now. I told you, it just took me a second. I just had to get to the right part and I'm there. So we go home and Norman's in bed and we see Norma is there saying, this is all your fault. You know what you have to do.
Before we even find out what's going on, I wrote, this better fucking be a hallucination.
It's like, this doesn't even sound like Norma. Like, she doesn't say things this like crazily to Norman.
No.
Like, she thinks things through. She's manipulative, so she can make him do something if she wanted to, but this is not how she would approach it.
No.
And we learned that he is seeing her when she's not there, which is not great.
No.
It's a not great start. And he takes from this advice that he has to go get the belt back from Shelby's. So he does. He just walks out in the middle of the night, walks down the road.
Now,
Yes.
this scene, when he was walking down the road, this is when I was like, oh, this is Norman Bates.
Right. He also doesn't know what it means to sneak around. Like every time he sneaks around, he knocks things over. And I'm
Also,
like,
how did he know where to go? That bothered me. I was like, how does he even know where he's going? Then he gets in the house and he's loud as shit and turning lights on. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing?
And I put, he's keeping it in his room somewhere so it's safe. I was like, he's not just gonna have it in the kitchen cabinet. Like, this is not the logical place to start looking. And then I thought he was gonna kill the dog, and I panicked.
I did too.
Everything's fine. The dog did not die. But there's a locked room, and I just put, what's in the locked room? And unfortunately, we find out because he finds some keys in Shelby's bedroom in his drawer. He somehow picks the right key the first try.
No, it was the second. They did show him struggling a little bit.
So, but still, they were like,
it would have taken me all 50 keys to get to the right one.
Exactly. Turns out that Shelby has this weird disco room downstairs. There's a bed down here in the basement, which is very strange. And then there's a second door that's locked, and he opens it. And the Chinese girl who's gone missing, Zhao.
As soon as I saw the bed, the first bed and the camera, before even the second room, as soon as I saw the bed and the camera in the first room, I said, no.
I didn't know because I still thought she was going to be dead. I thought it was going to be someone different. But Zhao's not dead, which is nice. Maybe not so nice for her, but I don't know. So, I knew Shelby was bad news. That's my next line.
I just wrote, no, Deputy Hottie has the Chinese girls in his basement.
And then I yelled when we ended on that cliffhanger of him walking inside. Because that was the end of our episode. So, who's your MVP of this episode?
Oh, we're skipping punching people. We're just going straight to the winner.
First.
I guess Dylan.
He's my MVP.
Because I don't think I like anyone else in this episode.
I do not. Who do you want to punch?
I mean, the only correct answer is Deputy Hottie.
Yep.
That is the only correct answer.
He is an awful, awful human being who is keeping women in his basement and torturing them. And drawing pictures about it, apparently. So, that's nice.
The problem is, no, he's not drawing the pictures about it. Because the pictures are clearly written by, the journal's clearly written by one of the girls. It's all in Chinese.
You're right. But yeah, so that's that. Did you have any predictions at the end of this episode?
I didn't, because I was so flabbergasted that I just could not function. I had absolutely nothing to say.
So I had some predictions. I predicted that Norman would get caught, but I don't know if he's going to kill him or blackmail him. If Norman was going to kill Shelby or blackmail him. And then I also said that I think Dylan is going to learn about everything.
No, I literally had nothing. I was just staring with my jaw open at my computer.
I stopped everything and made sure I took notes and made predictions before I moved on.
I couldn't think.
Couple of trivia.
Okay, great.
The scene where Norman fights off the dog chewed through 3 wooden bats because he was a trained dog to do that. So they kept having to get new bats for him.
Of course they did.
And also, something that I didn't know about in the first episode we watched, but I read about researching this episode, was that the journal that Norman finds is potentially the same journal that we see in the movie, because we see Marion. Is that her name in the movie?
I think so, yeah.
Different in the books. I couldn't remember what it was. And so Marion picks up a journal and opens it, and you see this like look on her face, and she puts it down. We never see what's in it, and they're referencing that is supposed to be like where the journal came from. In this, so
I feel like if I was Marion, I'd be more horrified than she was.
I think I would have been too. But maybe there were no pictures. Maybe it was just words.
Yeah, maybe she just opened to a word page.
Yeah. So this has been Thriller Thursday with Bates Motel, season 1, episode 3. What's wrong with Norman?
Guys, this show,
Wild.
I don't even know what to say. Like that ending, the fact that I feel bad for Norma Bates and then that ending together, like this was an emotional journey that I was not prepared for.
We had no idea what we were getting into. Thanks, Victoria. Thank you for bringing us here. And so you can find us on any of the podcasting sites, and you can follow us on social media at Death and Aliens. You can send us an email at deathandaliens@gmail.com. You can find me and all of my Broadway pictures on at CECloud13.
And you can follow me on all of the social media at EMKAY_superstar.
And we will see you for our next Sci-Fi Sunday that is not about the lowest rated episode of the season.
Yay! Bye.